Hey guys, BwPA bringing you another Mythic Plus commentary video. Today we're taking a look at the classic Unholy Disease build in an Atal'Dazar 25. As always, we're just going to have a chat about, I tend to talk about general unholy things, but just have a discussion about the dungeon itself, talk about tips and tricks, talk about my CD usage, all those kind of things. Just a general commentary vibe, right? For this dungeon, I have my gear up here. I got my talents over there. It's pretty bog standard here, nothing fancy at all. When it comes to the gear, I think the major thing is that I've been able to pick up the haste legs at this point. So when it comes to embellishments, right, it's a bit of a tricky one. You have a couple of good ones like the versatility wrist, you have the lariat, you have haste legs, you have blue silken lining. All of them finding value in different situations. I think the haste legs, they over-sim a little bit for Unholy in Dungeon Strike specifically due to the very short pulls in there, which are much shorter than like real life. So something to be aware of. But I do play a lot of Frost, and Frost really likes the haste legs, so that's why I have them. Other than that, I don't know. It's always a bit tricky to judge exactly what's best here, due to the fact that simming for Myth Plus is just tricky. And all of those are going to be pretty good value. Same thing-ish with trinkets. I'm currently running the Might of the Ocean. Very easy on use to use, due to the fact that it's 1.5 minute cooldown. Just macro that into Unholy Sword and you always get good value. Mirror is going to be really good as well. That's specifically great if you can time big pulls with your 3-minute kind of burst scenarios there. I'm pugging. I feel like it's better for me to do something where I don't need to pay as much attention to it, and where I don't kind of need to coordinate with the rest of the group, right? So something that just works pretty well all the time is what I'm looking for. All right, so that's kind of like the setup and talents and that kind of thing. You could see in talents, I run the defensive build of the Necropolis. Definitely something to discuss due to the fact that it's not necessary, in the sense that if you play perfectly, you don't need it. However, personally, I do not play perfectly, and neither does my group. So having that extra defensive value, it is a lot of defensive value, 16% max HP increase, obviously 35% reduction to dangerous rot damage. It's just a really solid defensive passive, and I just enjoy playing it because it means I die much less than other players in Myth Plus. Can't really complain about it. I do lose a couple percentage DPS, but this is a survivor meta as a sense. Well, what I mean by that is that if you survive the dungeon, you're gonna complete it, right? It's not like you need to do a lot to push that extra DPS, right? If you survive, you will have enough DPS to time it, even though you drop a couple percent, right? That's the kind of vibe. Now, before I continue further, a bit of a self-advertisement here. I've said this in a previous video, but I'll say it again. I do offer coaching for Myth Plus, both Frost and Unholy, but also for Raid. If you're interested, do join my Discord server, and you can just send me a message. It's $70 for an hour, or $100 for an hour and another 30-minute session. Just so it's clear you know what to expect, and if you fancy, just go and send me a message. Anyway, in this dungeon, what has happened so far? Well, we've pulled the left side here. Generally quite dangerous side, especially if you have a boomy that's quite squishy. By far the stuff that kills you is if you let the barrier go through. So the Confessor does a cast and creates a big barrier, and that means that the targets can't be interrupted. And that in synergy with the Augury, which has this fiery cast, which deals a ton of damage to everyone, means that you can easily wipe. So I always make sure I target the Confessor, make sure I interrupt the bubble cast, and then I will go on the Augury, and then maybe grip or pet stun or blind sleep the fire channel there. That's the kind of vibe. Other than that, if you get targeted by the big guy, he does this channeling single target thing on a player. Good idea to pop a defensive. You can pre-AMS it, I think, You have to be really, really quick about that. I'm not too sure if that works, but if you get targeted, you just AMS, you have IBF, you have Lichborn, 1 cooldown, or you can just use Death Strike, right? And you are good to go. No problem there. By the way, a point of talents, I'm not picking up AMZ here, but it has good value specifically. There's the fire enchant, that's what we wanted dropped. AMZ has specific value on higher keys on Atal'Dazar due to the fact that the final boss, that's a good thing. So the priestess will channel, it's just like the boss itself, right? It does a channel with heal sim from a player, but if you pick up a blood pool, that will actually kill the priestess. So just a good tip if you get that targeted. Anyway, final boss, when you spawn the little ads, that's a really good opportunity to use AMZ. That's like a big potential death scenario, right? If you're going to die in that fight without failing mechanics, it's going to be when those ads spawn. Oh, I just had a look at my rotation and I didn't properly extend my mastery defile buff. Too bad, too bad. Anyway, so AMZ is definitely a potential pick. The difficulty is what do we actually sacrifice for it. So we have a couple options. We could remove Permafrost. We could remove Blinding Sleet. It's probably not, but improve Death Strike. Again, improved Death Strike is just really nice to have. If you ever end up in a scenario when you need to press Death Strike. You could also sacrifice a little bit more DPS and remove the final point in Rune Mastery. Not Rune Mastery. Unholy Bond is what it's called. I don't know. It's a tricky one, definitely. But I've currently just defaulted to the defensive setup. But either Permafrost or improved Death Strike is what I would sacrifice to pick up AMZ. Alright, we've made our way to the first boss here. I was going to sneeze. Anyway, we obviously have these gold spawning, really good control from us here, because we can both drip it, we can use Chains of Eyes, we can stun it with our pet, make it much easier to deal with. Transfusion spell, we need to pick up the blood. I like to do that when there's like, 3-4 seconds left, just to make sure, I'm the slow class. I want to go ahead and pick up one early, so I don't end up in a situation where I'm the final one to pick it up and it's on the other side of the room and the boss is going to heal a little bit, right? So do that early, because if you do pick it up 3 to 4 seconds before he actually does the cast, it is no problem at all, actually getting value from it. It's not like it finishes before the boss finishes his cast, right? When the ads spawn, I'm going to dot it up as soon as possible. I'm going to leverage my death and decay, defile in this scenario. There we go, I'm a bit slow, so it's a bit of a move around a bit and someone gets left out. So if you're early, it's just much easier to actually execute this in a good way. Alright, we are gonna CC the final ad that spawns. Boss is very low, so he's gonna die either before or during his next transfusion cast, which means that we don't need to care about the ad and can just focus the boss. We've got transfusion coming through again in 5 seconds. I'm gonna go early, pick up the blood, right? This also means that it's easier for other people because they see that blood is taken. So before they start running, they can actually decide where to go. And it just means everything is much easier. Great. So that's that. We move on to the next couple of packs. There's nothing too much to actually do here. So these augurs don't cast that fiery enchant, which is so dangerous on the previous packs. So I'm just going to do as normal. I have all my cooldowns ready. Pop in. I start with Defile, Scourge Strike to get Playbringer, and then just send all my cooldowns. I did have a look at, so obviously the highest keys that have been done so far have been by Merus as Unholy, right? He's done a 31 Atal'Dazar, and he does play it slightly differently. So for instance, he doesn't do that early Defile Scourge Strike. Something to think about. I do think it is optimal, like I won't stop doing it, but it's always a good idea to have a look. All right, so what are the players that push the highest, do the most damage, that kind of thing? What are they doing? Because sometimes it makes you challenge your own assumptions and what you think is best, or what you convince yourself is best. It's not always that they are playing perfectly or they are better than you are, but it's still a very good idea to have a think about what are they doing, how are they playing, is there something here that I'm missing that I can use to improve my gameplay, that kind of thing. So let's see. When it comes to damage here, I am easily gapping these other players. Unholy does, like, you will see it in the MDI. I'm pretty sure Unholy is going to get brought. We just scale incredibly well with target count. We do, we also have very easily executed damage. The thing is that we don't care if we have to run away a little bit. We don't care if we don't get 100% uptime right. We can apply our dots. We can grab Epidemic from away, that kind of thing. Our cooldowns are pretty low cooldown. DT, Apocalypse, and Holy Blight, that's a 45-second cooldown window. We can easily do a couple of 100k DPS on a pack, right? The only thing that Unholy is currently lacking is our single target DPS. I think that's by far the worst aspect. It has been a thing for quite a while, and I think it's due to the fact that our army works in a short kind of encounter. So like in a 3-minute fight, army just has a lot of value to it. It's kind of designed to be used, you know, I say it is balanced around a long encounter where you kind of reduce your cooldown, use it again, and so on. So if you have a very short encounter, if it's like 2 minutes or whatever, you have lots of value from that army, which means that you can do quite a lot of burst, even though you don't maybe sim for that much. But still, you know, we are going to be lacking on the single target front, and there's really nothing to do about it. I've been kind of thinking, by the way, don't step on these blue bone things that I do. They spawn the little raptors that do a lot of tank damage. Another tip here, sorry, I'm just rambling on about other things. You can use AMS and IBF, AMS and Lichborn to immune to fear here. So Visage, AMS, everyone, unless someone breaks the pursuit early, right? Because that kind of changes your timers a little bit, which means that you have to sending a Lichborn, right? If everything goes as planned, you know, he pursues it fully, you can AMS everyone. If it doesn't, you need to like send a Lichborn on the second one. And then if it happens again, you don't have Lichborn, you actually have to LOS, but that's really rare. So you can pretty much immune every single one. Now, I was talking about, right, are there no alternative builds we can pick up which do not sacrifice that much single target and still do good AoE? Unfortunately, no, at least what I've figured out so far. I've been running this really funky wound build on the Tindril. Haven't killed it yet, so Guild killed it when I was benched. I came in, I had this really cooked up wound build, and it looked like it was going to do quite well. So we'll see. I'm going to run some sims, figure out if that's actually something that could be feasible in a Myth Plus environment. It's very similar like the Clone Wounds build that I've been talking about, where you pick up Bursting Swords, that kind of thing. And it relies very heavily on just spamming Clone Shadows. That's where the damage comes from. And then you can try and pick up all the goodies, like, you know, Gargle and things, Command of the Dead. I'll get back to you. You will see if this ends up being something that's viable, there will be a video, right? All right, we are cleaning up Rezan here. I think this is, in the end, going to be a +2. I think. We'll see. We have killed Rezan. We're going to go up, kill a couple of dinosaurs, move on to the rot boss, and then we'll see what happens. Not too much to do here. This is a bit annoying. So this section over here, there are these little shield dudes. They channel a shield that reduces this damage that the nearby targets take by a significant amount. And you can't grip interrupt it for some reason. Normally, a channel can be grip interrupted, but that one can't, so you have to actually stun it, which means we have two options. You can either use your pet stun, or you can use your blinding slate. But, you know, that's not that much, given the fact that our pet stun has a long cooldown, and blinding slate is at 60 seconds, so you can only really commit to interrupting one of them. So it's these shield bearers of Zul that will do it. All right. Small comment here on the Festering Strike usage, because someone asked that in the Acros just recently, so I thought I would clarify. You might have noticed I don't press that a lot. There's only really two situations when you end up pressing Festering Strike. It is one, like here, when you set up for Apocalypse. You know, you can't use Apocalypse unless you have a wound on the target. So on a pool where you don't have an All Assault and you need to Apocalypse, you would then use Festering Strike once to set up. You don't need to actually set up 4 wounds, just it had to be at least 1, and Festering Strike would always sort that out for you. The second scenario when you use Festering Strike is when you run out of defile charges. So if you're chain pulling or you have a pack that lasts for a really long time, you might end up in a situation where, you know, you have 5, 6, 7 seconds to your next defile. In that situation, you want to do Fester tabbing. It's not that big of a thing. You could also just, you know, Festering Strike and then Scourge Strike your main target, but Fester tabbing is a thing. You would then Festering Strike one target, tab to the next, Festering Strike that one, and then essentially prepare to set up for your next defile window. So when you would then pop that down, you would end up in a scenario where you have lots of wounds and everything, which will be a lot of Festamite stacks, and you get another nice burst window. That's the kind of vibe. Yeah. We killed this pack before the penultimate boss here. It deals a lot of damage, as you can see. Technically, you can control these mobs as Unholy, but you really don't want to. They just... Your pet does a lot of your AoE damage, and controlling one of these will remove your pet, which then removes a lot of your damage. So it's a significant DPS downgrade to control a pet like that. Unfortunately, it's what it is. Frost does that without having to take a real penalty. We really can't do it. So, too bad for us. Anyway, we clear this up quite easily, and then we move on to this boss here. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to assign ourselves to 1 totem each to make sure they all die at the same time. I'm going to actually multi-dot here. The fact that we're running disease means that our dots actually do quite a lot of damage. So I'm going to dot everything up and then hit my primary totem. And then when my dots finish, I'm going to dot everything up and so on. You don't want to do that in a way where your totem doesn't end up dying, but it's generally fine. So you can see here, dot everything up and then hit my main totem. Okay. Dealing some solid damage. You can see my dots are about to go out, so I'm going to go around, dot that up, and then move back to the final one. So you can see I have Unholy Assault ready here. I'm kind of saving that for army once I kill the totems. You don't need to do like a lot of damage in this scenario because it's all about control, right? The boss doesn't do that much damage here. You just want to make sure you actually don't fail with the killing them at the same time kind of thing. So you can see 1 dies there, go back to mine, kill it, and now we're on the boss. So you can see that fits very nicely with the fact that I now have my army. Gonna send that, wait a couple seconds, and then use all my cooldowns. Also, nicely, you can see my Festamite window just elapsed, so I can then start a new one with Apocalypse, which is exactly what we're gonna do. Small min-max thing, but it's still a nice thing to do when it's possible. I said my defile here. The general play is it's double defile with every Apocalypse. I sometimes use 3 on the army because to get full overlap with the army, but it's generally recommended. Right, the third one. Generally just want to send 2. I think it's fine. I haven't mathed it out, but I think it's fine if you use 3 with army and then 2 with Apocalypse. You should have enough of them ready. We'll see. So I used 3 at start. Alright, I'm setting up for my next burst window. Let my Festamite run out. Sending my Apocalypse here. And then we have my defile coming down. I'm not the best at using defile as a single target. To be fair, this boss kind of doesn't matter because he moves too much. So, oh, there we go. I remember it. Yay. Man, I hate defile. It's a shame that it's so powerful. It's a pain to play around. Even though you could play that on every single boss in raid, I don't. And most people don't because it's just a ugly ability, clunky, and not fun to use. And we can see the scenario here. I do roughly the same amount of damage as the warrior here. It's not that good to compare this specific fight because it's not like a pure single target encounter. But if you guys paid attention to the Priestess fight, you probably could have told me exactly how far behind I was. Alright, so kill that. We're going to move on to the Spider boss. And this has a couple more Unholy specific tips. So, first of all, ad control. We do have quite a lot of it. Every, is it 1 minute so? I don't know. Ads will spawn on the players, which need to be killed before they walk into the boss. We can use Blinding Slate, we can use Grip, we can use Chains of Eyes, right? Lots of things to help control them. which is quite nice as well, because you're meant to stack with that, but if someone ends up far away from the group, you could just, whoops, die from a spider, get that over with, so I don't do it on the boss. But if I remember correctly, I actually do die on the boss there. Yeah, getting that out of the way. Anyway, as I was saying, if someone doesn't stack properly with group, it's a good idea to grip in their ad into the other ads so you can then clear them down nicely. I'm gonna, dot them up, use the file, do as much cleave as possible. Now, when it comes to defensive usage, there are two different ways we can treat it. So one of them is immune wrecking pain. AMSing that will simply immune the damage. You don't take anything at all. Right, so that's good. An option is to use AMS for the ads. So when the ads spawn, you take loads of damage. And it's definitely a point where you might die, right? So I think it probably depends on key, but as a general rule, it is more dangerous when the ads are out. Like, the most dangerous part is when someone has wrecking pain on them and the ads spawn. So if that's you, you really want to AMS at that point. So I think the best recommendation I would say is to use AMS for every time you get Soul Run. Alright, we've got Soul Run coming up soon again. I'm just sending my cooldowns there. Alright, we're stacking up. Always a good idea to stack up a bit far away from the spiders. It is really easy to get hit by a spider when you're killing those Soul Run ads. They both obstruct your vision. You probably have the file down, which doesn't help. So having a big long distance to them is a good idea. Alright, boss is being kited around the room in a good way. It needs to be quite a lot of movement here. Otherwise, you risk damage to spiders. It just means much easier with space if you make a lot of distance to the boss. Alright, we've got Soul Run. Oops. You can see there, I was a bit far away from the boss, but gripping this in made it much easier to deal with, right? And they die quickly. I could also commit some cooldowns there, which was good. Right, boss is dropping quite quickly. I'm doing like the most DPS here. We're pretty good at dealing with the ads, honestly. Like the dot damage and the skirt strike cleave is pretty good in that kind of scenario. So I also usually get health from my cooldowns. They don't exactly align, and I don't, manually align them either. But whenever Apocalypse is out, right, Magus is going to do a lot of damage there. Alright, so we now have a scenario where not everything is gathered up, but nice Abomination Limb there to grip in the ad. We have one which is on the loose. I'm going to make my way over there. Slow it with Chains of Eyes. And then we're just going to target the boss there. I thought I died on this boss, but it might still be coming. We'll see. Probably just misremember. And we're not going to two-chest this. Just barely missing out on the timer. So it's what it is. Anyway, that's a plus 25 Atal'Dazar. I had up the damage breakdown, I think. Not sure. Want to have a look at that? There we go. Okay, I did die. So, ending with a bang. That's Unholy for you. I'm enjoying it. Is it better than Frost? Probably. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, a bit tricky. Also depends on the legendary, because Unholy can actually spread it. So, that's another thing. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this video. Upvote, downvote, consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.